What happens when you understand your trauma logically, but your body still feels stuck in survival mode? In this episode, we're talking about why traditional talk therapy sometimes only goes so far. And approaches like EMDR, nervous system regulation, parts work, and polyvagal informed healing can help people move beyond just understanding their trauma and actually begin to feel safe again. Lori McNulty shares over 26 years of experience in the mental health field, including what shifted for her when she realized her clients needed more than coping skills alone to truly heal. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Lunar Counseling Podcast. I'm your host, Kiara Brown, an LPC EMDR-certified therapist, certified hypnotherapist, and the owner of Lunar Counseling. This podcast is a space for grounded, real conversations with therapists, healers, and guides with the deeper layers of mental health, trauma, embodiment, and what it truly means to heal and integrate in sustainable ways. Today, I am so happy to welcome Lori McNulty to the podcast. Lori is a licensed professional counselor and the owner of Peace Counseling and Wellness, trauma-focused practice she founded in 2019. With more than 26 years in the mental health field, Lori brings a depth of experience that spans community mental health and private practice, working with clients across the lifespan from children to adults. Her work centers on trauma recovery and mind-body healing, and practice encourages clients to integrate mind-body approaches into their everyday lives. She and her team are EMDR trained and also draw from modalities such as DBT, CBT, parts work, and polyvagal informed approaches to support clients navigating a wide range of mental health concerns. Through decades of clinical work, she began noticing that traditional talk therapy could only take healing so far, which shifted clients living with lingering symptoms of PTSD. After training in EMDR several years ago, she began seeing powerful shifts in her clients' healing journeys, helping many move beyond survival patterns and into healthier, more integrated lives. So, I'm so happy to have you here today. I'd love to ask everyone what brought you into the therapy space.
So it was by accident, I'll be honest with you. I wanted to be a physical therapist, but discovered science and math was not my thing at all. And took a psychology course in my undergrad and just loved it. It was like developmental psych and just loved everything about it. And I'm like, wow, maybe I could do this. So I shifted my major to psychology and worked in the field after my bachelor's and worked with teenagers and really liked it and thought, this is for me. This is where I need to be. So just helping people. And I've noticed too that I always observed people when I was growing up and just watched people in the mall or whatever. And I just like to put the pieces of the puzzle together and also help people. So that's what kind of drew me to it eventually.
Cool. So, out of curiosity, then, what was like your original draw to physical therapy? Then, before you realized, oh, like science and math are not my thing.
Because my dad encouraged me to do it because you made lots of money and you help people.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was about it. Honestly, I honestly don't know. I think that when you're young, you don't know what you want to do. But
Yeah.
I knew I wanted to make lots of money. That's not the case in this field, but whatever.
Yeah, it's definitely a field where like you go into it like expecting to make like buku bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Yeah.
anyway, I love what I do. That's what.
Yes. So tell me about like your growth within the field. So you started working with teens. So what was like your progression to where you are now?
So, almost about, I'd say about 15, 16 years of my career was working with teens or children. And then when I shifted into private practice, I started to dabble. I still saw kids, but I started to work with adults a little bit more. And like reflecting back, I noticed that I was becoming burnt out with the kids. I loved the kids. I loved working with the kids. But I think I got burnt out because some of their family situations were very difficult and they can only progress so far. And at the time, like now I've grown as a therapist too, but at the time I felt like I wasn't helping them. I probably was, but I felt like I wasn't and I got burnt out.
Yeah, that is two things to I've worked with teens a lot myself, as most of us do when we're starting out. Because if they're in a certain situation where or environment where like their healing can't progress because like of parents or just like living situations, socioeconomic statuses, things, it's only us we're like just planting seeds, giving them the tools that they can use later on in life to really help them grow and like really flourish.
Yeah. Yeah, and the majority of my career was working at, I don't want one community mental health center. It was probably about 10 years, and their socioeconomic status was usually pretty low from pretty impoverished communities. And I did like a school-based therapy, so going into the school and I again, you can go only go so far. And I again, loved working with the kids and did what I could, but at the end of the day, I was like, I need to when I started working with adults, I loved that, like, I could see the adults, like, "Oh, this is why I do this," or have some growth. And but at like I said, reflecting back at the time, like, I know that as a therapist, that's probably where I was, but I know more now as a therapist to know that, like, you have to be patient and people grow when they're ready to grow. Ah,
That is really true. So whenever you opened your private practice, what was like your overarching like goal within the community that you wanted to like really help?
At the time, I my goal was really to, one, just kind of focus on more or less it was I just wanted to have a private practice and do my own thing, I'll be honest with you. 2, I started to shift more in the trauma focused as I noticed that, like, the talk therapy was only going so far with trauma. And so that's when I got EMDR trained, and it blew things out of the water for me. It shifted my whole perspective as a therapist, and I really dug into it and I've seen so much growth with my clients who are willing to try it.
That didn't really too. EMDR like really hits like a goal and how therapy does because like we're not really talking in those sessions,
Mhm.
right? Like it's all their mind and their body doing the work for them, getting them to where they need to be, having all that integration happen. And it's so powerful because like it takes us out of the picture and it just lets
Right.
them do what they need to do. Like with the guide at that point.
And through my training, I learned parts work, and I use that almost with everybody, even if it's like not the full on version of parts work. I use it and like some like the polyvagal stuff. So dabble in that. I still use the skills based stuff lightly, but I've leaned heavier into the other stuff in the past few years.
So everyone needs skills because like we're not taught skills a lot of times, especially as kids, especially if they didn't have therapy as kids. But
Yeah.
if when they have like really entrenched trauma, still don't get them so far. So I love that
Right.
you're doing like the more like body somatic work. But can you describe a little bit more about like what polyvagal is for people that might not understand what that is?
So, polyvagal theory focuses on the nervous system, and it focuses on how the nervous system responds to external stressors, and it focuses on also doing exercises that help that nervous system come back in balance, because a lot of times when you have trauma, your nervous system becomes very overactive or underactive or both, a little bit of both. You're in survival mode a lot of times. So it really just focuses on how do we get things back in balance, and how do we develop not skill so much, but ways to help yourself so that your nervous system could be more in check.
Really cool. Could you give like an example of a technique that you might use for someone like if experienced a lot of trauma?
Yeah. So one of the big things I tell almost all my clients, because it's so easy to do, I say to them, like, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling over in that, like, what they call hyper arousal state, or you're real anxious and you can't calm yourself down, just warm your hands up, put them over your heart, close your eyes, take deep breaths until you feel a shift. I've taught a lot of people that. There's also some exercises They're called vagus nerve exercises. And again, they're very simple. You could sit in your chair and do them, whether it's like kind of looking up to the sky and tilting your head and helping. I'm sorry, I'm tripping over my words. So you might want to edit this. So basically, any exercises that kind of bring you down. So it could be even like box breathing, counting in for a few, holding, counting out. Stuff like that is going to help with the nervous system.
Really cool. So like the kind of like
Mm.
head, eyes up, head to the side, things almost like the eye roll
Mm.
with the EMDR
Yeah.
piece.
Yeah. 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 And there's a really good person that I've followed on, she's on YouTube. So her name's Suki Baxter, and she does a lot of the vagus nerve exercises. Deb Dane is another one. She developed the polyvagal theory, and she's some videos on there too. But they give you like visuals of what to do. It's hard to describe over a podcast. They give you like exercise that you can do that just help. Like I said, they take a couple minutes. It doesn't take a lot of your time. And I try to, I do them as much as I can. Sometimes I forget to, but
And it's the way it's the kind of way with everything. Like we get so like in the run of like the day, like we have clients that we can see, we have to make sure like we're there for them, but we don't always do the self-care piece that we need too, because it's just
yeah.
you're like day just moving along. But whenever you do have
Yeah.
time for your own self-care, what's like your usual go-to thing that you love to do?
Yoga. I've practiced yoga for 15 years. I try to do it a couple times a week. I probably should do it more, but I try to like just get myself into my space and I just turn YouTube on and do it at home or something like that. But that helps. And I do the box breathing exercises. I do some breathing stuff too. And it just helps so much. It just helps me so that I feel more centered. And especially in the mornings, like when I'm getting ready for work, if I do it in the mornings before work, I feel more focused and more present for my clients.
And it's actually because like you've gotten like a chance to like really center yourself and like I can be calm and cool and collected and like their stuff doesn't it's not going to like linger within me. Especially if you deal with trauma all day.
Right.
That stuff is heavy. Just I do the
Right.
same thing. Like trauma is heavy.
It is for sure. It is for sure. And that I shouldn't laugh, but as a therapist, we understand that it is. It's a lot. And you take that home and you're like, why am I so exhausted? And I'm like, because you listened to a lot today. You listened to a lot.
Yeah, like it's what have you done to help prevent yourself from having that vicarious trauma that a lot of us experience in the field?
I really think for me, it's taken time. I think for myself, it is the self care. It's also just becoming a more skilled and seasoned therapist and obviously being present for my clients, but also removing myself from their issues because I can only do so much as a therapist. If I'm not neutral, I can't help them. So I think over time it is a skill I've developed. I don't think it's like anything specific I've done, but just tried different things. And yeah, so that's what it's.
Well, so yeah, like making sure like you do have the time for yourself and like knowing like you don't have to take on their burdens as your own. Which is
Yeah.
also so, like, a lot of new therapists have a hard time doing it. I remember whenever I was, like, still new to the field, I mean, I was technically considered, like, newer, but especially with the kiddos, like, I really, like, just wanted to get in and fix it for them because like, my heart was,
Yeah.
like, hurting for everything they were going through, like, I just want to keep you home. I wanna give you, like, a safe place, like, just
Yeah.
I want you to get out of this thing. But then, like, realized, like, no, you can't do that, like, you can't save them, they have to save themselves.
Which is hard with kids. It's
Yeah,
hard.
yeah.
Yeah, but as you get older and you mature and you get more training, you just learn that you are you are the captain of the ship, so to speak. There might be your first mate or something like that, but you're steering the boat enough for them to get them to a point where maybe they do latch on to some skills. Maybe they do try something new. And it takes a lot of time and patience, but growth can happen.
It's so true. He's I like that analogy, like where like you're steering the ship to get them like where they want to go. I kind of do it when I talk to people. I always say they're the ones driving the car. I'm holding them out to tell them where to go.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good analogy too.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and sometimes because what I used to do, and this was obviously I'm not a skilled therapist, I used to just let them, like, lead, and, of course, I say, "Hey, what's going on?" when they come into the session or something like that, but the more the more I did that, the more I felt stuck, and I think the more they felt stuck too, you know what I mean? Like, I thought that's what therapy was, like, even though we were trained and all that kind of stuff, I'm like, "Oh, so what's going on, and what do you do about that?" and asking all these questions, and as I've become more seasoned, obviously, I don't do that as much. I try to focus on more common themes or negative cognitions and things that can help them heal and figure themselves out.
Be a little bit more directive on the sessions then, like you kind of take control a little bit more.
I Yes, and I think that skill has developed more in the past 3 or 4 years, I think. I think up until then, I still was like I had enough skills as a therapist to know what to do, but I was like, "No, this is how you do therapy." But then I'm like, "Well, maybe they're not growing because I'm not steering the ship, so to speak, or."
Makes sense. Whenever so if you have like long-term clients, like the clients you might have had 3, 4 years ago that might be still with you, what have you like noticed a shift with them, like from the normal so it's going on type thing to okay, we're gonna like really hone in on like this piece. Like what shifts have you noticed?
Yeah, so that's about the time I got EMDR trained too, and I shifted a lot of my focus as a therapist. And a majority of my clients have agreed to try EMDR. It's really nice if I have been seeing them for a while because I can say, "Hey, I got trained in this thing. This really helps." When we do a practicum in training, I say I was a client, we either practice on each other, and it helped me with my issue. So people are more willing to be on board with that. And we might start with a little T, a little trauma. I always give people the example. Maybe you're really afraid of bugs. Like maybe a bug landed on you when you're 5 years old and like it freaked you out and now you hate bugs. And so we might start with something little along those lines. But I've seen tremendous growth, and it's not always sometimes it's very subtle changes, but it it has blown things out of the water for me because I have a couple clients in my head now I've been working with for a long time, and they just were stuck, very stuck. And this one person, like, they're doing things I never thought they would be doing as far as being more social and that kind of stuff. So I've noticed so much change with a majority of my clients, and some people who have graduated and moved on, and that's bittersweet, but I'm happy for them too.
So we like would love to have them forever because like before like we get touched them too. Like they get to touch us, we get touched to them. But sometimes
Yeah.
we don't want them to want us forever too. So it's yeah, I understand like what you mean. Like whenever I've done like family based, I did used to do family based and like we would like they would graduate and like we would leave. Where's what so and so is doing? Like they were making they made so much progress, they're doing so well. Like I just want to like check in with them, but obviously you can't. And it's just
Yeah.
it,
Yeah, I still think the teenagers I worked with and my first job was in a residential treatment facility. I still think of them. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, they're probably in their 30s or 40s by now or something, like, at this point." And it's so crazy, and I can picture in my head right now, but as a teenager, obviously, they're adults now, but, like, I just yeah, so it does, it sticks with you sometimes, but, yeah, we can't reach out.
yeah. I've seen past clients, like, in passing in public, and I'm like, "Crap, like, they got so big." Look whenever you have, like, it's almost like whenever I see my niece and nephews, I'm like, "Hey, you were a little baby, and now you're older, and it's stopped growing." You just
I know,
like, it's
right?
so old.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I know. At this point, since I've been in the field so long, I do feel old because if I meet with a millennial, they're talking about things, I'm like, "I don't know how to do that, I'm sorry." Like some computer thing, I'm like, "I don't know." So,
Yeah, that's what our way with the younger generations. It's like, I am a millennial, and, like, the younger kids, they'll say something like, "What are you talking about?"
oh, really?
Yeah. I personally have avoided having my own TikTok because I know I'll just be stuck doom scrolling, so I don't get trapped in that. It's like some of the TikTok trends that they talk about, I'm like, "What do you mean?" Because 'Cause I'm not on there. I'm like, "What do you
Uh-huh.
mean you're not?" I'm like, I avoid TikTok because I know the floor gets stuck in scrolling. So
Yeah.
it's that's
Yeah.
bullshit and that is
Oh, geez. Yeah. I have teenagers of my own, so I just ask them. Like,
yeah. I go underneath to the nephews and I'll sometimes like ask them a little bit about it. I have a couple young clients myself currently, and we talked about some social media things and told one of them about AOL and AIM, and they're like, "What is that?" I'm like, "Seriously?"
in my space,
Yeah.
I I wasn't in the MySpace generation, but you probably were.
First first thing, and I remember, like, coding it and having the fun background and having the music playlist and all those things, and it was fun.
Yeah. Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Good times.
And excuse me. Just take that a little bit. So it's a Saturday morning. Stir a little bit. Yeah. So whenever have you ever had any pushback from clients, like, wanting to try EMDR?
Yes, and it's still a current client, and I have a good relationship with this person. Yeah, we tried a little bit, and they they said, "This isn't working. I don't think this is working for me." And usually when it happens, as a therapist, I try to explore what makes them think it's not working. This person is more logical and has had trouble like connecting with their emotions, and that's probably the reason. And they do have a, am I allowed to say diagnoses and stuff? I don't want to do any.
Don't say their gender or don't say anything else, but you can say diagnosis.
Yeah, so they have OCPD. So if you know anything, OCPD is obsessive compulsive personality disorder, which is similar to obsessive compulsive disorder, but it's more ingrained in their personality traits and everything like that. So basically, I think that it contributed to why they didn't think it was working. And I respected that. I did process with this person and ask them questions of like, why don't you think this is working? What are the pros and cons, all that kind of stuff. And they said they didn't want to do it. And you can't force somebody. Consent is very important as for me as a therapist, and I'm sure other therapists as well. So I backed off and we continued with talk therapy, and they have made progress with that. It's just slower progress, we'll say, but they have. So
Yeah, I had I had some situation, not so much with the EMDR piece, but whenever I got trained in hypnotherapy, some clients were like,
oh,
"No, I don't want to do that at all. It's too woo." I'm like, "Okay, fine, but okay, I respect your decision." And like, even though I explained to them, it basically is like EMDR, just a little bit more guided and not so much. You don't have to have a specific memory to go back to. It's a little more free flowing, so you don't know where something's coming from. You can let things flow and come in, and then process it that way. Because some people like might not know like what the touchdown memory is. If they enjoy, we have to find the touchdown memory a lot of the time. If you don't know
yeah.
what it is. EMDR hypnosis helps you find that without it being like already a forefront in your mind. But some are like, "Really?
Oh, yeah.
No, don't really want that."
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and I was a bit disappointed with this client because I think it would have helped them. However, again, I have to respect their decision, and I still see them on a regular basis, so they're doing pretty good.
Yeah. I think that piece of, like, about them being so cut off from their emotions is so big, especially for the trauma pieces too. Some people live so much in their mind because they don't wanna feel the emotions, so they deaden them so much that, like, the thought of even bringing them up is scary. So that could have been
Mhm.
part of it too.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, other clients, a lot of people seem willing to try at least, but that person sticks out in my mind the most. They're like, "Nope, I'm not doing this. This isn't working." So they were very vocal about it.
Yeah. Which sounds they gave it a hot second of a try. When
Yeah,
maybe not like a similar, like, full try. They gave it, like, a hot second.
of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So what's, like, your general, like, population or, like, niche that you work with most of the time?
So Generally, I work with adults 18 and up, and I really I do well with trauma-focused clients, mood disorders, the depression and the bipolar and anxiety. Those are my main 3 that I do really well with, and I can work with other people with other issues. There's always a way, but I found that the skill set I have helps those clients a lot.
You mentioned like the personality disorder for that past client. Have you had a lot of training with personality disorders?
I have not, and she's actually the one that brought it up to me because "I've been doing some reading," and then I was like, "Oh, yeah, that does make sense," and I have not, and maybe I struggle with her a little bit too because of that, but we found some type of connection there. We made it work.
That's good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll say my personalities are like one of the harder things for me personally to work with, especially like narcissism or like EPD. Like it's challenging for me to stay separate in the situations. So like I really try to avoid that. Honestly, if it comes up, it comes up, but it's not really my main focus. It's just so hard.
Yeah. It is difficult, and I not too long ago had a client who discovered had pretty intense borderline personality disorder, and it was stressful. It was pretty stressful. They fired me. They hung up on me on a video call because of something that happened in the session, and that was the last I heard from them. But that's typical of borderline personality disorder too. So, yeah. So because I every time I would meet with them, I'd be like, oh my gosh, it does stir up a lot of feelings in the other person, and I'm like, yeah, that all makes sense. So I tend not to gravitate towards people with personality disorders, but as a therapist, like, people come in with one issue and then something else comes up sometimes.
Yeah, I said for me, what kind of not want to focus personality disorders was my time as a doing family based and like dealing with the parents that had personality disorders and then the impact it had on their kids. I was like, I can't do this. It's like I would start feeling
Yes.
really badly for the kids. Like I want to say to the parents, like, you don't see what you're doing to your child. Like, come on, do your own therapy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that moment, like that cartoon moment if you want, like, you want to shake them and like, "Wake up." So
Did that or and ever so in that way. I was like, I figure so I've noticed this. Maybe if you see someone to help with this issue individually, it might help you with your issues with your children. And sometimes
yeah.
they take it. Sometimes, most of the time, they wouldn't because they didn't want to hear that the issue was them. They wanted to hear the issue was the children. It's like, no, not how it works.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing I struggled with working with children and their parents was, like, they would say, "He does this or he does that." And like you said, you say, "Maybe it's something, that maybe it's this like, because you're reacting this way," and they would be like, "No, it's his fault."
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. Actually, speaking of that, so you said you have teenagers yourself. How did you feel like growing as a therapist helped you or hurt you as growing as a parent?
Both. Both, I think. I think the knowledge is good to have. However, sometimes when my kids are having an issue, I wanna, like, problem solve and process and all that and try to help fix it, and I can't always fix it, and that's difficult.
Yeah, I just better struggle for myself as well. My kids are really little still. It's okay. I want to go in and help them do the grounding techniques, the coping skills, and all these things, even though like they're mad at me because I told them no. So you can't go from like being like, no, you can't do the thing, and then being sad. Okay, come here, let's do this. Like it just
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, like, my I don't know, this is slightly personal, but I like to share because I think people identify. I mean, my 18-year-old has struggled with mental health, and my 15-year-old, they both have different issues, but so, yeah, that's why I said both, like, being a therapist and my knowledge and the resources that I know about have really helped me, whereas some other parents don't have the knowledge and know where to look for their services for their child. But at the same time, I could try to tell him, "Hey, like, why don't you take some deep breaths or put ice on your chest or whatever it is. And they're like, quit being my therapist. Yeah. So,
And we have our balance too, 'cause, like, we know the skills, we know the things they can do to, like, help them in the moment, but we're mom. Like, we can't
yeah.
they don't want us holding both roles, and nor should we, because, like, obviously, that's why you don't work with our family members. Actually, really funny is I've had so many family members ask me, like, "Therapist, can you help with this?" I'm like, "No, I'm your sister, I'm your daughter, I'm your niece, I'm, like, your aunt." Like, and
Yeah.
it's, you know,
Yeah. I know. Yeah, and, like, my mom especially doesn't understand mental health, so she's, "Why," like, when my kids have been going through some stuff and, like, "Why are they doing that? What?" And I have to explain, like, the reasons, and she still doesn't get it, but, oh,
that's hard too, especially people, like, don't believe mental health, which to me is so boggling the mind that people don't believe in mental health. Like, explaining it all to them and, like, why things happen, like, why we're doing what we're doing, and why this technique works, like, why this skill works, like, why a five-year-old is freaking out because his favorite toy is broken. And something like that.
yeah, yeah. So, the good thing that is, though, I think the younger generations are becoming more, I guess, more willing to come into therapy, and social media probably has helped and all that to normalize some of these issues. And also, in addition to that, social media and the internet have probably caused some of those issues. It's like a double-edged sword.
Is and have you noticed any trends on social media that you feel like, yes, these are good ones to have, or ones that you're like, no, it's like really bad. You should not listen to this.
Yeah, so I'll be honest, I'm not super embedded in following anybody or anything like that. People have told me stuff like, "Oh, I've listened to this podcast or saw this reel on healing your inner child," and they would describe it. And like I think some of that stuff is good, like whatever the topic is. I always tell people as long as it's like somebody reputable and not some random girl, a teenage girl that like had, I don't know, some issue that and she
Mhm.
wanted to talk about it. Because there are reputable people on social media. And again, I don't follow a lot of people. I'm a little older, so that's what I said earlier. I'm a little older. But people tell me and I'll be like, yeah, that's fine as long as they have some type of credentials or maybe they wrote a book or something. But yeah, but just be careful because you can't have some random teenager just saying, you might have narcissistic personality if blah, 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 or whatever. So,
Okay. I know that too. 'Cause there are so many people that will hear on TikTok or a video like, oh, like I checked like four of those five boxes or something. So I must have this disorder. Whenever that person doesn't have the full list of what a disorder actually has, or like the whole like comorbidity and like all the other like nuances within diagnosing. Cool. Yeah, like you might have these things, doesn't mean you have that thing. There's a lot of
right.
other nuances to it. And as one of my favorite ones is like for people that say they have PTSD, I'm like, okay, do you literally have it? Have you had these symptoms for
Mhm.
6 months? Have you had this event that occurred to participate these factors? Like there's a lot of things that go into having a diagnosis. It's not, oh, I've been feeling like this for 2 days. Feeling things for 2 days
Mhm.
normal doesn't mean it's
Yeah.
diagnosable.
Yeah. And I always tell clients too, like mental health diagnoses are subjective. So you can have attention deficit, ADHD, and it can look like something else. Or like they overlap a lot. It's like very important to like really assess as a therapist and get to know the person to really determine this is what it really seems like. And in some circumstances, I do tell people you might want to go talk to a psychiatrist if you're interested in med management and to get maybe a formal diagnosis. Sometimes I refer people to a neuropsychological evaluation, which is more the hard test they do. So
Yeah.
it depends on what the person's experiencing because there's some diagnoses where I'm not very comfortable with saying, "Yes, you have this," but I might say, "You have symptoms that look like this." Autism spectrum is one of them that they commonly refer to for a neuropsychological evaluation, just to be sure.
Yeah, I agree with that one because that one is so nuanced too. Because there's something serious to it now. Like, I really feel like that one needs like a full on evaluation. Yes, they're long and yes, they're expensive. The wait lists are like astronomical at times. But if they're doesn't know for sure, you have a legit like see where you're at. Because like you can have
Yeah,
symptoms of things, but doesn't mean like you actually have the thing or vice versa. So it's
right,
definitely important to have
right.
that. Yeah. But, like, when people come to me, like, "I have X, Y, and Z." They've never seen a psychiatrist, never seen a therapist. I'm like, "Okay, so then who gave you that diagnosis?
Yeah,
Was it just, like, you on the internet or what?"
yeah,
Like,
yeah. Yeah, and then I have people that come in and like recently I had a new client and they're like, "I'm feeling really down and bummed out, not motivated," and gave me all the symptoms of depression, but he says, "I'm not depressed." And I just said, "Okay." I shook my head. When it's a new person, you wanna tread lightly.
well, that is so true, and honestly, I hate giving diagnoses to people, but, obviously, we have to with insurance, and, I mean, I feel like they can be good in a way to help guide treatment a little bit, but at the same time, though, like, everyone just has, like, their own
Yeah,
lived experience, and, like, just helping them cope with life the way they want to have, like, the life that they want, to me, is, like, the best treatment plan in general. Also, I wish I could be like, person who had the life that they want. And that's all I that's kind of want to put in the treatment plan sometimes, but obviously we can't.
yeah, I know. That's what I tell people, like, "I have to give you a diagnosis. I might change, but that's what insurance company wants me to do." Yeah, but, of course, people aren't their diagnoses, they're people at the end of the day, so
Yeah, that is so true. Obviously, they need it for a mental health reason or disability. Like, cool, that can
yeah,
help. That can help in that way. But general public, I feel like just because insurance needs it, why we do it.
yeah, yeah, so people are just people, I say that all the time, and that's what I treat them like, and as a therapist, I have a lot of humility, so I do, like, silly things, like, I just don't I want people to feel comfortable when they come see me. I just act like I'm a person too, because that's who I am.
Yes, we're all people.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, Lord, this has been amazing. Before you're up, do you have any tips or tricks that you want to leave people with that they could use?
Tips or tricks? I would say tips. I would say if anybody out there is struggling, or maybe they're not, maybe they just wanna figure out something why they do something. Don't be afraid to reach out to a mental health professional. It's not something to be shameful of. It's helped so many people, and if you're not quite ready to do that, maybe do some research, maybe talk to a friend, and just dip your toe in it a little bit to see if it's for you. And also, as far as what I teach as a therapist, I really do believe in the mind body kind of stuff. Or one person, our mind and body is very connected. And find something that works for you that is going to help you, help calm you, help center you, because we're all so stressed out in this world, and so our bodies are in overdrive probably most of the time. Maybe find a meditation app, find maybe like yoga or Tai Chi or something like that. Just find something that really helps you recenter yourself.
Well, what's your preferred way for people to find you to get in contact with you?
So you could find my website. It's ipeacecounseling.com. And you could also reach me. My phone number is 412-238-7663. And you will be hearing from me. I don't have a secretary, so, I will get back to you as soon as I can, and we can do a small discovery call to see what you're looking for, if I'm a good match, or I have two other therapists that could be a good match as well.
And are you licensed only in Pennsylvania or are you licensed anywhere else?
Yes, yeah, myself and my other therapist are only Pennsylvania licensed. We do telehealth, so it could be anywhere in the state of Pennsylvania, we can provide services.
Thanks so much. And all your links and your phone number will be down below too in the description and at the end of the video too for people to be able to reach you.
Okay, thank you so much for having me, and it was a pleasure meeting you.
You too.